Bilal Coulibaly comes back tonight for the Washington Wizards. And see, I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. It was good for Bilal, and ultimately the Wizards fall in this one to the OKC Thunder. He provided a bit of a spark defensively. It wasn't enough as the Wizards get run out of the gym in the fourth quarter. Let's talk about it here on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards. We're your part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Alongside DC Sports content creating Strober and Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC Sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Wizards drop this one to the OKC Thunder tonight. Turnovers, a big problem for Washington. We will cover that as we go throughout the episode. Some rotational issues, I think, that have been persistent for Washington in the second half of these last three games. They reared its head again. It ultimately made life difficult for the Wizards. After keeping it pretty close for the first three quarters of this game, they get run out of the gym in the fourth quarter, and they lose this game by 19, 127 to 108. AB, I want to start with Bilal. He returned to the lineup, instantly starts, and he plays really well for Washington tonight. I think he provided a nice spark defensively because of what he's able to do on the wing defensively. You make him the point of attack guy and allow Keyshawn to really work off the basketball defensively. They looked really good, especially in the first half. And Bilal also did some great things offensively as well. We'll talk about that. But AB, I wanted to get your initial thoughts on how Bilal did in his return.
Well, BC's back, Ben, and we mentioned how we didn't expect him to start. We thought the Wizards were going to be really slow with him, but I guess he fully recovered. And tonight, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. I mean, he was doing it on both ends of the court. And three-point shooting-wise, he was 2 of 7 from three-point land. So it was nice to see him get his shooting splits up. And shot mechanics is one thing that we were questioning going into the season for BC, but we're hoping that he can be consistent with it. But I love his game, Ben. I mean, his defensive capability, his athleticism, that one play where he was a crossover, fast break, and just dunked the ball. Like, flashes like that alongside Keyshawn George and Alex Sarr is why I'm so optimistic about this young Wizard squad. But it's great to have Bilal Coulibaly back, and now it makes you wonder what's the best starting lineup for this Wizard squad that we'll definitely talk about later in the stream. But I'm happy that BC is back, and the assignment of guarding SGA, trust me, like, we all know it's not easy, but it was good to see him out there and trying his best defensively and offensively putting up 16 points. And I just know he's going to learn from this and get better from it. It's only year 3 for BC.
With BC coming back to the lineup, Bub Carrington was the odd man out. I said earlier that I'd hoped it was Chris Middleton. That was not the case, as Bub was sent to the bench in this situation, and it was a tough night for Carrington in the minutes he did play. He ended up playing in 22 minutes. He was 1 of 5 with 3 turnovers and was a minus 11 tonight. It almost feels like, in a way, Bub has kind of been in his own head offensively, and you'd like to see him get the opportunity to work through some of these things, and Middleton did not have a good night either as well, so you weren't really getting much production out of either of those guys. And the bottom line is nobody really shined for me tonight outside of Bilal Coulibaly. CJ McCollum actually had his best night, I'd say, efficiency-wise as a Wizard. He went 5 of 8 from beyond the arc tonight and ended up making some history as well. But I don't know. It just feels like at times they've lacked identity offensively, because sometimes they'll move the ball really well. Sometimes the possessions will be stagnant. It seems like they don't value the basketball too much, and turnovers became a big problem in this game. They're going to have to find out what lineup works the best when you have Bilal and George out there, because those two are monsters defensively, AB, but it felt like at times they weren't able to really get in a flow offensively throughout most of this game.
Yeah, and the Wizards shot 43% from field goal range, 43% from three-point land, 45% from field goal range, 22 turnovers to Oklahoma City Thunder 6. That's championship basketball right there, Ben. I mean, if I'm doing the math right, that's a 16 plus 16 differential right there. And rebounding wise, you out rebounded them by 2, but points off turnover, Oklahoma City 26 to their Washington's 5. Also points in the paint 50 at 36. You just saw the way OKC was playing. We were talking about it, Ben, how the Wizards they were down by 10. They found a way to get back within 2, and it kept going back and forth, trading baskets. And late in the third quarter, you were down by 2, but then Corey Kispert off a rebound gets the ball punched out. They hit a 3, and it just didn't seem like the game was ever even close for Washington after that. And to me, it's you play competitive quarters of three quarters of a game, but you have to realize in basketball there's 4 of them, 48 minutes in total, and it's just as a young Wizard squad, and we'll talk about rotational issues, Ben, but in that late third quarter, having Keyshawn George play the 5 guarding Isaiah Hartenstein, I just, like, what are we doing there?
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about some of the questionable rotations that we saw throughout the fourth quarter, because I was kind of like, what in the world are we doing here right now? But at the end of the day, one thing we have to remember is that this Oklahoma City Thunder team, they just won the NBA Finals. They are miles and miles ahead of where the Wizards are in terms of talent, team building, chemistry, all of that. And the Wizards were able to compete with them because it was kind of an off night for OKC for a lot of this game. They still did plenty. SGA put up 31, and I'd have to double check if he even really played in that fourth quarter. I didn't really notice him if he was playing out there. I don't think he scored in the fourth quarter if he even played. I'd have to double check. The fourth quarter kind of was a blur because it really got out of hand without him in the lineup for the most part. But AB, when you think about it like this from the team perspective of this game, the Wizards were only trailing by 10 for most of the game, it seemed like, which is kind of like ideal, honestly, in terms of being competitive, because you're not really out of it, but you're not really having the opportunity to like ruin your tank or whatever. They got it within 2 at one point before things fell apart, as you said. It never really felt like the Wizards were that close in this game for some odd reason. Maybe just because in the back of your head, you know that Oklahoma City is just so much better and they're not having a great game, and they're probably bound to take off at some point and run you out of the gym the way they did in the fourth quarter. But I don't know. I just kind of had a hard time like imagining a reality where the Wizards go on a run, which they eventually did to get it within 2. But it's just very apparent that this team has some big issues when it comes to playing in the second half and what rotations ensue in those moments as well.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, a lot of second chance points, man. Like you mentioned, there were 3-point shots that were wide open that they missed. So the fact that you only lost by 19, it could have been way more. And again, you tried your best with SGA. We talked about it in the stream. You can't really lock him down or stop him. You just have to somewhat limit him. And I was expecting a big game from Alex Sarr, Ben. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 stocks. I was hoping that the Thunder not having Chet Holmgren out there will be advantageous for him. But I guess maybe he just has to play against Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic every night, Ben. It was tough to see Alex Sarr. I mean, he got it going late in the game, but at that point it was just garbage time.
Yeah, it was garbage time. A little bit of stat padding there for Alex, but it's okay. We'll let it pass for the kid. Yeah, I don't know. He just kind of didn't have the same physicality that he did, and he didn't really get opportunities to work out of the pick and roll. I think OKC did a really good job with Hartenstein. I think the game plan was pretty clear. They would get up in the face and the grill of Alex Sarr when he tried to operate from the top of the key the way he had been against Philadelphia. And he made it difficult with his physicality for Sarr to get anything going. Didn't see him penetrate well to the rim, and all of his shots came early on from within the restricted area, so they didn't even allow him to get opportunities to get it going from the outside the way he did against Philadelphia. So I'll give credit to OKC where credit is due tonight. They had a really good game plan in place to kind of shut down things that Alex Sarr was doing well. And Coulibaly picked up the pieces pretty well. Good night for the kid. He played in just under 25 minutes, 6 of 12 from the field. 5 of those misses came from beyond the arc, where he went 2 of 7 tonight, 2 of 2 from the line. 16 points, ended up being a minus 12, but everyone ends up in the negatives in a game like this, obviously. So you can't give him too much there. But 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks as well. Bilal can be really, really impactful for this team, especially in the right role, in the right situation where you have him be your defensive maestro for this team, and then get it done the way he did offensively. I don't think you need to like imagine this reality where Bilal is your best offensive player or he's your best overall player, because the role that he can have as a really good second, third, fourth option on this team offensively, but lock it down defensively, is going to be really, really good for this team down the road in the future, where you have your top of the line options set in stone and giving you buckets every single night, because the impact he has on the game defensively is undeniable. Him and Keyshawn flying around the wings in the third quarter and also at parts in times in the first half, it looked really good. It made them exciting to watch on defense, but ultimately he was kind of the only guy that was able to pick up those pieces offensively, and that's kind of why they struggled tonight. You'd like to get some more production out of everybody else.
I was about to say, Ben, it was a possession back-to-back where both Keyshawn and Bilal had blocks on the perimeter. Perimeter defense, obviously, it wasn't as strong as it was tonight, as Oklahoma City dropped 127 points, but it was great to see blocks on the perimeter. That's one thing that I was talking about going into the season, where I want to see this Wizards team be better defensively when it comes to the perimeter. And a lineup of Bilal and Keyshawn, again, this is Bilal's first game back, so he's playing with young, new guys in Trey Johnson and Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton only here half a season of last year. CJ McCollum. It'll take some time to gel. But I just, ideally, Ben, like this is going to probably be a recurring theme that we're going to be talking about these next couple of weeks, the best lineup for this young Wizards squad, because, again, at what point do we keep telling ourselves as Wizards fans that, like, yes, it's nice to have Chris and CJ out there, but at some point it might hinder the development of the young guys. And I'm not saying that they are, but it's a potential possibility. And it's just down the line, if McCollum and Middleton are being inefficient, who's going to go out there and step up? These young guys. I mean, we talked about how McCollum and Middleton are those guys that are going to make a shot when this team is in a scoring drought. But if they're the ones contributing to the scoring drought, who's going to be the one to step up? So that's hopefully an answer that we get these next couple of weeks within these next couple of games. But I love the fight in the first three quarters, Ben. Going into this game, I just thought Oklahoma City Thunder, even though they didn't have Chet Holmgren, they were still going to blow us out by 40 or 50, and the game's going to be over by halftime. But I love the fight. The fact that it was a 2-point game. I know moral victories, it's not everybody's thing, but it was a 2-point game with late in the third quarter. Just that fourth quarter, just separated, and that's what make good teams great, like OKC, and bad teams like Washington, where they just didn't have an offensive identity in the fourth.
Yep, we got outclassed today. Point blank, very simple what happened in that fourth quarter. Some good things. I like the flashes from Bilal today. But one of the things that's been an apparent problem in the second half of these games, we're through 5 games, so plenty of time to go, is these rotations just look odd at times. And they make you scratch your head and go, well, let's discuss it when we get back. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and EFTs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, I thought Shea was going to do it tonight. He ended up finishing with 31 because he didn't even play in the fourth. DoorDash drops 50% off your order with DoorDash the next day. The DashPass, that is. And you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. I love that it's not just food. You can get everything from snacks and drinks to headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered. DoorDash has you covered for the late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel-ups. So next time someone goes for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with DashPass. Plus your shot at the bag drop. DashPass members only 50% off up to $10 a day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. A lot of really strange rotation issues we've seen through these first couple of games. AB and tonight was kind of more or less similar. At one point, you had really no big out there in that fourth quarter. And it's just tough to kind of understand what the thinking is in some of these situations, some of the rotations we've seen out there, but they have absolutely no flow, no identity offensively. They look out of sorts defensively. They turn the ball over like crazy. And is it really to blame because of the rotations? I don't know exactly, because at the end of the day, the players are the ones turning the ball over so much. But I just question sometimes in the fourth quarter of these past couple games, you have a lineup out there that's not really set up to make the team succeed at all.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in that fourth or that late third when I saw Keyshawn playing the 5. Man, I mean, what do you expect for it to happen there defensively? I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein is way bigger than him, and I'm gonna just keep saying it. I love Corey Kispert, his shooting ability, man, but I just don't know what Justin Champagnie has done to the Wizards coaching staff for him to not get any minutes. Only 4 minutes played late in the game, and if he does get in the game, it's like 7 seconds left on the shot clock, and maybe he's the guy who's got to put up a half-court heap. So to me, that's just one question that I'm hoping to get answered soon. I just think offensively and defensively, I'll give the edge offensively to Kispert, but defensively, Champagnie is way better, in my opinion. And Sarr and this whole minute restriction thing, I don't know how long this will last because he was dealing with that calf injury going into this season. We're hoping that gets solved soon. We want him to be healthy. But Cam Whitmore getting 15 minutes, Ben. Game by game, Ben, I'm starting to think that I'm not saying I want to give up on Cam. He's only 21 years old, but maybe what Will Dawkins, or not even Will Dawkins, or what Coach Keefe, or just the whole organization right now is trying to build, maybe he doesn't fit it, which I'm hoping I'm wrong. I think he does. But there's just times out there. I mean, but also, hold on. Let me just say, he scored 7 in a row. He had 7, and he was scoring, microwave scoring. And what do you know? You'd think you'd get another touch, but no, you're back to the bench. Small things like that is what's like, Coach Brian Keefe, like, during the presser, he has to be asked that. Like, why would you take him out? Typically, when one of your players is hot, you keep feeding him the ball. You don't feed him and tell him to go back to the bench. I don't understand, Ben. I'm hoping someone out there can explain, because I just didn't like it. I don't know.
I'd like to see the answers to the questions, because when he's on, he's really exciting offensively. We were talking about it in the stream, saying it almost feels like he's moving in 2 times speed. But yeah, like, I do understand the idea that the ball kind of stops moving when it gets to him. He becomes that black hole at times offensively. But you see him score 7 straight points, and you go, okay, like, this is the kind of microwave spark plug that you want out of Cam Whitmore. This could be a really valuable asset for you off your bench. And then he comes out of the game, and I didn't see him for quite some time. I think he didn't come back in until later in the third quarter, I think was the last. So he was out for really quite a long period of time, and we'd have to get the answer from Keefe to see exactly what went wrong. Could have been some defensive rotation issues. I'd have to really go back and see exactly where things went wrong, because I know there's been a couple of instances where he's had some issues on defense, and Keefe has been pretty frustrated with him at times. But to see him come out of the game as the hot hand was a little frustrating for me, kind of much like we saw in the Philadelphia game. Sarr scores 13 in the first quarter, and then he gets taken out. And I know he was kind of on the minutes restriction, so I'm not gonna say too much about that. Maybe that is part of like the reason why you take him out in that situation. Sarr ended up having 31 in that game, so really no harm, no foul there. But it seems like at times early on in the season here, you've seen the guy with the hotter hand end up coming out of the game. And then just in the fourth quarter, seeing the lineup out there, we just really have no identity offensively. You have Corey Kispert out there getting a ton of the touches at one point. So Kispert played in 20 minutes off the bench tonight. He's been getting plenty of time, and he's provided a couple of those nice flashes offensively, but the offense just quite hasn't been the same to me. There's not really any opportunities for them to move the ball. Like, ideally, you'd like to see Trey Johnson out there more for some of these opportunities, and they need somebody that can actually play make for him. It was kind of a tough night for Trey Johnson, and I mean, honestly, not even that bad, considering he went 3 of 7, went 2 of 5, so he's at multiple 3-pointers in all 5 games to begin his NBA career, so good start for Trey Johnson here early on, but it was a lot tougher for him today because he didn't have opportunities created for him by other players. That's like the biggest problem for this team right now. And yeah, the 23 turnovers really stands out because they just don't really have adequate amount of playmaking on this team. And I just wonder if that's going to affect the outputs we could see from Trey Johnson throughout the year.
And not just Trey Johnson, but also Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, guys who want to get wide open off down screens and they just can't get the ball to him. Maybe there's a world out there where you do somehow land Darren Peterson that solves your problems, but we don't have Darren Peterson right now, and you have one in four right now, Ben. So you have, I'm doing the math, 77 games left. So for these 77 games, who's going to step up and be a playmaker? Bub Carrington, for all we know, what we've seen is a combo guard. Maybe put Keyshawn at the point guard. I mean, just throw up anybody. Will Riley got some minutes tonight. He looked nice with that nice fadeaway jump shot and that nice pass to TV for an and one. But he's very young, very raw. So is Keyshawn the answer at point guard? We'll just have to see. But you can't keep trying the same thing over and over again, Ben, and expecting a different result. Somebody's got to stand out there and say, I'll be the playmaker.
I just wonder with Bub Carrington, like, how can we see him get his confidence back offensively? Because we got to a level last year where Bub Carrington was playing some really good ball, and obviously in a different role. And this year, since he's kind of had to take on this different role, maybe he wasn't ready for it at the time. And I know you need to give a lot of these players an adequate amount of time to develop it and really, figure out what the long-term role is going to be. And combo guard, as you said, like, seems like the probable end game for a guy like Bub Carrington, but it seems like he's really lacking the confidence that he needs offensively. And I don't know if him seeing some time on the bench for a little bit, kind of like he did tonight, will hopefully get his confidence back as he gets a little bit more used to this new role that he might play in here now that Bilal is back. But, it hurts me to see a little bit because the way he closed out the season, you saw how great his confidence was coming into the year, and he's just really had a hard time getting it going offensively right now.
Yeah, and it sucks because I know a lot of Wizards fans are calling him out, saying that he sucks, but he's only 20 years old. Wait a lot of time for him to develop. I mean, last season, remember, he had a career high, and I think it was towards the end of the season against the Orlando Magic at 34. So we've seen the peaks of Bub Carrington. He's only going to get better, but sometimes if you put him in a position where it's going to be hard for him to succeed, it's going to be hard for him to see success. And again, point guard Keyshawn, like you always mentioned, he did that in Miami. Maybe that's a possibility down the realm of this season. We'll just have to see. Tonight. 6 assists tonight. Oh wow, it's amazing. You just need someone to play make, Ben, because at that point, if we're still having this,
yeah, things are just going to be different every single night. I think that's what we're learning from this Wizards team 5 games in, that there's going to be a lot of nights that are going to be just puzzlingly different from the next. Like, you blow a 19-point lead one night. Tonight, you kind of are just trailing most of the game and end up getting blown out in the fourth quarter. One game, you give up 88 points in the second half to lose. It's never going to be consistency from this Wizards team, and that's kind of what I've realized about this team. Let's take one more break, then we'll put a bow on this when we come back. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Yeah, we've seen a lot of comments saying the Wizards need that alpha player. Absolutely. Hopefully that's maybe somebody you get in the 2026 draft class, because I don't want to talk too much about the draft class for 2026 because, for God's sakes, it's not even Halloween's tomorrow. So by the time a lot of people are watching this, it'll be Halloween. Like, we can hold off on those conversations. We know we're going to have those conversations at some point. But yeah, like, it's pretty apparent that, like, the Wizards don't have like a cornerstone player, like somebody that is your alpha dog. I think they have a lot of building blocks right now. And Keyshawn, Sarr, and I think Trey Johnson's going to become one of those key building blocks. He's just going to need some more time to get adjusted to the NBA and work on some of the things that are weaknesses to his game so far. But Offensively in a night like this where you didn't really have any of those guys dominant the way they had been in some of the other 4 games, where whether you had Keyshawn George, who took over the game in the second half against Philadelphia the other night, or where he basically just dominated the game start to finish against Dallas, or Sarr's performance against Philadelphia, you saw how they kind of struggled offensively. CJ McCollum ended up being their leading scorer today with 19 points, his best game really as a Wizard. The first efficient offensive game we've actually seen from CJ McCollum, but I don't think any Wizards fans really want to see that unless you're hoping to boost his trade value up to move him at some point at the deadline. Like you're not gonna win a bunch of games or see meaningful development just by having McCollum having a 20-piece every single night. That's not how it's going to work. You want to see Sarr, George, or Trey Johnson, or even Bilal in this case, be one of those guys that gets it done offensively. Bilal did it today, but needed help around him. Didn't get enough.
I was going to say, Ben, now that we've seen Bilal back, what is your ideal starting lineup going on into Orlando on Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was in favor of having Chris Middleton out of the lineup, and it was a bad night for him tonight. A minus 19, committed 2 turnovers, had 4 fouls, one of them a really bad offensive foul. Middleton at times, I just don't see the vision with what he's trying to do out there on every possession. Like, he still has the ability to create his own shot, and he made a couple of nice jumpers on the baseline for himself early, but CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton, I just feel like you need to see a little bit less of them. I'm not a proponent of buying these guys out or trading them right now. I think they still can have a role in this team that makes sense. But sometimes it seems like later in the games, you'll have these guys just call their own number for some reason, and it ends up being catastrophic because, I don't know, they're just not in the right mindset for it or something. Because you think back to the Philadelphia game, CJ and Chris just call their own number multiple times in the fourth quarter and overtime. They implode. Chris Middleton in the second half of this one just calls his own number a couple of times, and I was not a fan of it. The ball stops moving on a lot of those possessions where those guys call their own number, and you hate to see that. You want to be a team that preaches ball movement, and even at times in the first half of this game where they're moving the ball, the offense looks so much better. But it's a common theme with this team. When you see possessions that are come up empty-handed, oftentimes they're because the ball doesn't move and guys are, taking shots that just don't make any sense right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think if this is going to be a problem throughout the season, then it's going to be games like this where in the fourth quarter when you don't have any form of identity, you're going to get blown out. Teams are going to be they're going to run you out the gym, essentially. For me, when it comes to the lineup, now that Bilal's back, I think point guard, I want to see how would Trey do at the 1. I understand he's a rookie. Yeah, CJ at the 2, Bilal at the 3, Keyshawn at the 4, Alex Sarr at the 5. And honestly, I mean, this is really small, but what the twin towers in Vucevic at the 4 and Sarr at the 5. Not saying starting wise, but maybe in the second unit if Vucevic can come in while Sarr's playing, that's a possibility. Just try something new at this point. Like, why not? What do you have to lose essentially? I understand you want to be competitive, but I'm going to keep saying it. We're going to keep saying it. This team is not a playoff team. They got to have one more year under their belt, get that top 8 pick, hopefully a top 3 pick, hopefully top 2, top 1, and go from there. But for now, it's just who are the guys that's going to step up while this transition is happening, and who's going to be the playmaker? Who is that playmaker here in DC? Is it Bub Carrington? Is it Keyshawn at the 1? We'll just have to see.
100%. We'll see if this team can get back on track at home against the Magic. The Thunder, they're the favorites to win the NBA Finals for a reason. The fourth quarter, even without SGA out there, they showed you exactly how dominant they really can be, and they kind of played with us for most of this game, and they made it count when it matters. The Wizards obviously didn't. Saw some good things out of Bilal Coulibaly. It gives me some hope that this team's going to continue to gel and develop as the season goes on. Hopefully you see some of these guys develop that chemistry with Bilal as he makes his way back. And yeah, the last comment right here, I'll put it up before we close out. Definitely heading in the right direction. Absolutely. Like, the Wizards have a direction, which you could not say for so many years in this organization. So it's all about each night with this team. What can you pick up from it? What can you see as a positive sign? What can you take from this one, build upon it, take it in the next one, and try to replicate that over the final 75 games of the season that you're going to play here? There's a lot more that we got to break down, but always so much time that we have to do it. Wizards dropped this one today, 127-108. We want to thank everyone that makes Locked On Wizards their first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Shout out to everybody that was in the watch party stream as well. If you're not a part of those, you got to come join the party. Those are a blast. The chat gets active every single night.
Shout out to the everydayers, Ben.
Yeah.
If you were there for the stream and you watched this full podcast, comment down below your favorite candy. And happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween to a lot of you that are watching that right now. But AB, we're going to sign off, man. For my co-host AB, I'm Ben Strober. Let's get out of here.